recording. And then we're gonna get started. So Jinhee, you're gonna be on the oov in the same position that we did last time. So you're gonna start with the fatter part of the oov, or if you don't have the oov, Maureen can sit on the ball. So the tailbone will be on the ball, and then you're just gonna lie down. And whether it's the oov or the ball, if you have arm weights, have little arm weights, up to 3 pounds in each hand, but don't have to. Move up or so the tailbone is higher. We're gonna check in with the shoulders, with the neck, to make sure that you're in a good position. It's between your, yes, the small part is in on your back.
Small part.
You should not feel any
Wow, this is hard. Okay, I'm in the wrong position. Okay.
If you pull in the neck, move up or move down.
Is the smallest part supposed to be on my back, the oof, or the back part on my back?
It's between your, yes, the small part is in on your back.
The small part. Okay.
Shoulder blades.
So, wow, this is hard. Okay, I'm in the wrong position. Okay, got it.
Yeah. Yeah.
There.
Yeah. There you go. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you got it. That's perfect. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. So the goal is to keep tailbone lifted and the upper back lower than the tailbone. So we're all checked in. We're gonna start with breathing. Arms go on the outside of the rib cage. We're gonna take a deep breath in. Allow the ribs to expand outward. And as you exhale, start thinking about deep core. So start thinking about pulling ribs in. That's the oblique work. But then also focusing on that transverse abdominis, kind of that feeling of pulling hip bone to hip bone. So we inhale, allow that diaphragm to descend as it pushes ribs outward. And then we exhale, starting to use obliques, and then the bungee cord, the transverse abdominis, pulling hip bone to hip bone. Let's do a couple of times just breathing here. Take a breath in. And exhale. Now inhale through the nose. And exhale through pursed lips. With the next inhale, we're going to lift both arms up towards the ceiling. Palms facing each other. Breathe in as arms reach overhead and you pull in your ribs down. And exhale, coming back in. We're going to move through this sequence a couple more times. I want you to think about this time pulling ribs down as arms reach up and turning palms in towards each other. So you're trying to sort of let your pinkies turn towards you. So it's a little bit of an external rotation through our humeri. And then exhale, coming back in. So inhale, arms go over. Exhale, they return. So being on the oov, it makes it much more effective because you have that upper part of the oov in between your shoulder blades, kind of in that mid-thoracic area. And so the shoulder blades can move freely. And that's what kind of the difference that oov makes when you're starting to work through these motions. Now, last one, we're gonna reach arms over and they're just gonna barely be on the floor, but they're gonna be off the floor, about 2 inches. So we hold in this position, elbows are straight. You should feel a big lat stretch, especially the more you externally rotate the arm, the more it will go into the lat. And then we're gonna start adding little leg lifts here. Breathe in as left leg comes up into the tabletop. Exhale, lowers back down. Inhale, other leg lifts up. If you have weights, this will make it significantly harder. Now, here's a lot more load on your core because arms are overhead and we're having to stabilize our rib cage against that overhead load. This helps with a lot of overhead work. You have to paint, organize upper shelves, whatever it is, but this is really important functional training for our abdominals to keep our rib cage in the proper position over the pelvis. Last one, arms are getting tired, but keep holding those elbows straight. Exhale, lower, inhale, arms come back up to face each other. Well done. Now we're gonna open arms out to the side, breathe in. Exhale, center. Inhale, open. Exhale, center. And open. And back to center. Next one, we're gonna open and hold just a couple of inches off the floor. Try to reach outward to each side of the room. Create that length and tension through the front of the chest. We're gonna go in the same thing, tabletop legs. One leg lifts and lowers. And the other, inhale up, exhale down. And lift. And lower. There's a ton of different variations that I will be going through as we're working on the oob or ball. And this goal is kind of the same, is to find stability and that inner muscle control. And back down. Good. Now we're gonna bring right arm up. Lower it back down. Inhale, left arm lifts up and lowers. Again, right arm up. Breathe in. Exhale, lower. Inhale, left arm up and down. Two more on each side. Shoulders away from ears. Try to hold that position. Shoulder blades stay on the back so they don't slide forward too much. We're just lifting our arm. Last one, side to side and lower. And inhale up. Exhale down. And let's bring both arms to the ceiling, and then we're gonna lower arms all the way down on the floor. Palms down or elbows pressed down and arms are up. The elbows will be a harder version. More of the arm on the floor is easier version. So pick where your body's in space today. We're gonna bring one leg up into tabletop and then the other. Now here, being on the oob is gonna make it a bit more challenging. On the ball, same thing. But I want you to focus on pulling abdominals, kind of imprinting. So this is oblique work. You're kind of tipping your pelvis in using obliques. And you wanna maintain that position. We're gonna start with leg extensions. Breathe in as one leg extends long as you pull the other knee in. And then exhale, we'll switch. Inhale, exhale, lengthen away. And switch. So we're starting slow. And now slowly, let's start to add some tempo into this. It's a little quicker. Ways to balance our system isn't always increased load, but it's also increased speed. And so as we progress through the series, we're going to be doing more with a faster pace to challenge our dynamic stability. We'll translate more into daily activities, kind of that anticipatory response of our body. If you trip, if you turn quick, because you kind of want to get that system working. And last one. And bring both legs all the way in. Now let's bring the legs straight up to the ceiling. If the knees can't be straight, it's okay to keep them bent. We're gonna go into scissors. So the tailbone is still in the oob of the ball. Breathe in, one leg goes up, one leg goes down, and we're gonna give it 2 pulses. 1, 2, inhale, back up. Exhale, split the other way. 1, 2, inhale up. And exhale. Inhale up. Keep going. Now, the goal is to actively lengthen that hamstring. So the leg that goes up towards you, you're going to try to keep that knee straight. Reach through the toes. Pulse it a little further. At the same time, not compromising pelvic stability. Up, up, and back. And split. Split, inhale up. Exhale. Inhale up. And exhale, exhale, inhale up. 2 more on each side. Good, last one. And come back all the way to center. Now double leg lowering. Breathe in as both legs reach away from you, as low as you can maintain abdominal connection, and then exhale, they hinge back up. This is a lot of load on that lower abdominal wall. If you feel it in your low back, don't go so low. Or modification, exhale, knees are bent. So lower lever. And exhale, lower. Inhale, lift. And lower. And lift. We have 2 left. And lower. And up. Last one here. And inhale up. Our last series with the legs is circles. So the way we're gonna do them, we're gonna breathe in, one legs go up, one legs go down. Now we're gonna airplane our legs together, kind of circle them around like a windmill, and then bring them back to the center. Now switching which side goes up, inhale we split, exhale, windmill hips around, inhale back to center. And again, we split. Airplane around and back to center. On the oof, you won't have this much range of motion because it feels a lot more unstable. Excellent. Circle around and back to center. One more on each side. Working on femur mobility here. And back to center. Bend the knees, lower both legs down onto the floor. Reposition yourself on the oof or on the ball. We're gonna breathe in. One leg will lift up into the tabletop and opposite arm is going to come up. Now, this is level 1. If you're here, stay here. Level 2, we're gonna bend the elbow of the arm that's down on the floor. Level 3, we're gonna reach that arm up. So we're taking away bases of support here. So if you can do this in level 3, excellent. Breathing opposite arm, opposite leg, move away from each other. And exhale back to center. We're gonna go for 8 here. Inhale out, exhale center. Having little weights will increase the load. Here, what's really working is that right proximal hip. So the right side of the pelvis, the right glute, the right side of transverse abdominis, obliques, kind of that whole side. So if this is challenging for you, or kind of notice side to side, it almost becomes kind of clear maybe what the weak link is. So then you can work on this every day at home just to try to strengthen it basically. And come back in, excellent. Second set, we're gonna let that hip open out to the side as arm goes out to the side and comes back in for 8. So this is rotational control, much harder than what we did earlier. I find that most people are much more challenged with rotational control just because we just don't do a lot of rotational control, especially if you do sports like running or cycling. It's sort of more in that sagittal plane, flexion, extension kind of movement, but not much rotation. And so cross training with rotational control is so vital. And come back in. Excellent. We're gonna lower that leg down. Keep both arms up or bring the other arm wherever you did with the previous exercise. And we're gonna bring the right leg up into the tabletop. So if level 3, no base of support is good, stay there. First part, opposite arm, opposite leg, move away from each other. Breathe in, exhale, come back in. Now, as we're doing this, let's check in with the rib cage. So go back to that initial pulling ribs down towards the pelvis as the arm goes overhead. Nice long neck here. Firmly pressing into the foot that's on the floor through the entire foot. So the toes, the heel, you want to kind of keep your foot as a tripod on the floor. And maybe even think about keeping your arch a little bit lifted so it's not collapsing in or out. Sometimes the foot will do something funky to compensate for lack of core stability. And bring it in. Excellent. Now we're gonna let that hip open out to the side as the opposite arm goes out to the side and comes back in. Inhale out, exhale in. I had a good story. I have a client right now in the caseload. He's 22 years old, cross-country skier, works out all the time, does all these things, but ends up with the quad strain. So he's been doing OOV now. Of course, he's 22, so things get better magically for about 2 weeks. And he essentially is 80% better. And it's just so amazing how just training the use of that hip control, his system just clicked and he no longer has pain in that quad when he skis. So it works much faster when you're 22. I'm like, I didn't do anything. You just young, but I like to take a little bit of a credit of the oof and come back in. Let's lower that leg all the way down. And we're gonna bring our hands all the way down. Now, before we get off, I just want you to kind of check your balance. So on the oof, on the ball, both legs in tabletop. And the ultimate challenge is to be able to lift both arms up and balance. So being on the oof is significantly harder, and you're probably not quite there yet. I'm not. I'm only doing this on the ball. It's a little bit easier, but still. But just find that equilibrium within your system. And if one elbow is down, it's okay too. But this sort of checking your progress and how challenging or hard this is, and then just moving week to week, how your body is changing and adapting. And the last breath, we're gonna lower one leg down and then the other. And we're gonna come off the oof and the ball. And now we're gonna go into a little bit of abdominal work. So if you're on the oof, you're gonna flip it around. You're gonna have a seat in the saddle. So the point of the skinny part will be towards you. And the fat part will go kind of like right in between your shoulder blades. So if you have the ball, you're gonna lean onto the ball. If you have the oof, your tailbone is in the oof and you're kind of leaning into it as well. So we're gonna press. The tailbone is still in neutral. So whether you have the ball or the oof automatically puts you in the neutral position. But with the ball, sometimes we can kind of be more in that crunch, but I want you to let your tailbone drop down so it's more in the neutral position. Okay, so we're gonna come up into that seated position, seated on the oof in the saddle. Breathe in to prepare. Exhale, we're going to round back until your back feels the oof of the ball. Inhale, scooping abdominals. We're rounding back up, seated on our sits bones. Exhale, half roll back. Now check in with the shoulders. You don't want to be kind of protracted. You want to keep those shoulder blades in a good position, nice long neck, and roll back up onto the sits bones. I'm gonna do 4 more here. Exhale, we half roll back. The goal is to use abdominals to bring us back into that C curve. Frequently, we wanna kind of put our head forward to decrease the work on our abs. So we're gonna keep our head back and come back up. Our head is a lot of weight actually. Exhale. So training that good upper cervical posture and transferring work into our abdominals is going to decrease a lot of the tension headaches and upper trap tightness. And come back up. And exhale. Inhale, we come back up. Now we're gonna exhale, we're gonna roll back. We're gonna stay here. So keeping rib pulling to the pelvis. Pelvis stays neutral. We're gonna bring our right arm behind our head. Left arm is reaching forward. We're gonna twist to the right so that left arm is reaching to the outside of the right knee. And we're gonna pulse it. Exhale, we roll up. Inhale, we go back down for 8. Inhale down. So it's a little oblique cross, oblique crunch. The key is to keep pelvis straight. So you should notice that your knees are moving up or down, forward or back, and that you're really pulling that opposite rib across to the opposite side of the pelvis. Let your eyes follow along your arm. And last one here, exhale up. Inhale, go back over the ball, over the oof, and just extend your back all the way where it feels good. If you feel like you need to scoot up or down, whether you're on the oof or the ball, you might have to readjust just a little bit. You want to feel extension through the upper back. We're gonna take a breath in. Now, nod the chin, exhale, lift the head. We're coming back up into that half roll back position. Now, left arm goes behind your head. We twist. Right arm is reaching to the outside of that knee, opposite knee, and we go for pulses. Exhale, pulse. Inhale down. And pulse. And pulse. Halfway there. Crunches aren't necessarily bad and awful, but if they're done right with control of the pelvis, proper alignment, it's a good way to shorten obliques, to shorten our rectus, especially if you kind of tend to have low back soreness or tightness if you're standing for a long time. That means you have too much of the curve. And come back in. And we're going to extend all the way back over. Take a deep breath in. Feel your chest expand and open. Let's straighten both legs. Toes are going to pull up towards us. Quads are tightened, so the legs are straight, so you're trying to make them heavy. Arms will reach up overhead. So this feels great if you're on the oof. Inhale, arms lift up, lift the head, nod the chin, exhale. We're gonna come all the way up and reach as far forward as you can. So you're trying to create that hamstring stretch and you're almost scooping your abdominals and you're thinking up and over with your body, not just kind of collapsing into the thighs. Inhale, we're gonna lengthen up. And then exhale, rolling down. You have a ball, wonderful. Keep it between, kind of in the upper back. Oof will just stay where it is. Arms lift up and over. Breathe in. Exhale, lift the arms, nod the chin, pull the ribs in, sequentially roll up. Reach forward, up and over as far as you can. Inhale, restack the spine. And exhale, take your pelvis back and slowly roll back over. We're gonna do 3 more. Breathe in. Arms lift, nod the chin. Exhale. Inhale, we round and lengthen up. Exhale, start rolling back. And arms reach overhead. 2 more left. Inhale, lift the arms first, then nod the chin. Now keep the chin tucked and don't pull with the neck forward. Think about pulling the rib cage down. So you shouldn't feel like you're working your neck here. And exhale, rolling back down. Arms reach over. Last one. Breathe in. And exhale. Lift the arms, nod the chin. And we're gonna flex all the way forward. and lengthen back up. Well done. Now we're gonna get rid of the oov or the ball for a second. You don't need any props, you're just going to be on the floor. So we're gonna go into rolling like a ball. It's a mat Pilates exercise. So arms are gonna go around the shins, and then you wanna find your balance in the back, kind of back side of the tailbone here. And this is our starting and ending position. So you breathe in, exhale, you're gonna roll back, and then inhale when you come back up. You wanna find that balance and never touch the floor with the feet. So it's finding that control in that C curve of the lumbar spine. What I like about this exercise too, that might look kind of silly, but it's actually great fascial mobilization for our spine, for our vertebrae, for actually our nervous system, our dura. Exhale. If this doesn't hurt, if you feel in discomfort or pain, obviously skip this part. But if this feels okay, we're gonna do it 3 more times and come back up. You're staying in that flexed position. Exhale, roll back. Inhale, come back and find that balance. Good. 2 more. Good. And roll back. And come back up. Excellent work. We're gonna go into the extension work. So on our stomach, with the oov, you're gonna flip it over where the big fat part is going to be in the front, and that coin-based shape is gonna go right underneath your sternum. You have the ball, you're gonna put the ball there instead. Now the skinny part of the oov is gonna go kind of like by the pubic bone and between the legs there, so that when you flex over the ball of the oov, it creates flexion in that upper thoracic area so that you can bend over something. And let's just stay here for a second and take a deep breath. I want to make sure everyone looks good. Yep, Jean, you got it. Good. So you feel that pressure in the upper chest. I want you to breathe into it. So take a deep breath. Think about squishing the ball of the oov. It feels like a lot of work, but we won't stay here for too long. Now, as you exhale, we're gonna start lifting our head, sliding our arms up into that upper extension. Now let's stay here for a second. Think about nodding the chin and pushing the back of your neck, kind of really creating that chin tucked position. So the leading, when we lift up into extension, always starts with that upper cervical spine. Now as we lower back down, nod the chin, arms slide forward as we round forward. We'll do 2 more here. Inhale, arms stay on the floor, we just lift up. Now bring your shoulder blades back, kind of lengthen through the upper neck, not so much into the lower back. If you feel lower back down a little bit. That is not the goal here. Glutes are active, pubic bone pressing down. And exhale as we round forward. Last one, breathe in, we lengthen up. Find that upper back work. From here, we're gonna stay here, and we're gonna lift our right arm up. Now my palm is down to the floor. Now I want you to lift that palm or to rotate it where the thumb is towards the ceiling. Without any shift of the torso. So now we're working our back extensors, all the multifidi, all those good spinal stabilizers in the back. Now we're gonna take the arm out to the side, and I want you to look towards your thumb. So your eyes are going to follow your thumb. Exhale back to center. So we're gonna do this 5 times, moving our head to the side, moving the arm to the side, and coming back to the center. Inhale out, exhale center. So we're tracking our arm, but more importantly, we're training our cervical spine. When it rotates properly when our arm reaches out to the side. Last one. And back to center. Lower that right arm down, palm to the floor. Inhale, left arm lifts up, thumb to the ceiling. So we rotate it. And then we're going to look to the left as the left arm reaches to the left. And back to center. Make sure your pelvis doesn't move. You feel the same pressure on each hip bone and center. Inhale out, exhale in, 2 more. And out, and in. Last one. And come back in. Lower arm down, lower your upper body down. We have last exercise here, so stay with me. Breathe in. Exhale. We're gonna lift up into extension, both arms lift up. Now palms are down to the floor, and we're gonna go into swimming. So one arm up, one arm down, and we're just gonna go into this reciprocal kind of fluttering of the arms. Now we're gonna inhale for 2, 3, 4, 5, and exhale. Inhale 2, 3, 4, 5, and exhale 2, 3, 4, 5. Keep going. Check in with your neck. Nice long neck, chin tuck. Bring those shoulders away from ears. Working on that dynamic control and stability. Glutes are active, legs are straight, maybe quads are tightened. Trying to make your legs heavy. You just lifted off the oof, off the ball to increase work on our upper spine extensors. Last 5, 2, 3, 4, 5, and lower everything back down. Let's press up. We're gonna bring our heels together, knees will open wide, and just sit back into the shell stretch. The forehead will rest on the oof or the ball. And take a deep breath in here, allow your back to reset, to relax. And exhale. With the next breath, let's slowly sit back up. And this brings us to hands and knees next. So, for the first one, if you have the oof, we're gonna put a left knee into the oof like we did last time. So in the saddle, with the fat part reaching out, left knee is gonna go inside the saddle. If you don't have the oof, but have the foam roll, that's the alternative. But the knee is gonna be in the saddle of the oof on the left side. Arms are pressing down into the floor, and both legs are lined up. Now, the leg that's down on the floor, you're gonna lift it up so the knees are leveled now. Now, just being here already creates a lot of work on our side joint stabilization because we kind of have that force, right? So we have to keep our tailbone reaching up. The leg that's free, that's not touching the oof or the foam roll, we're gonna clamshell it. So you're gonna allow that leg to open out to the side. It's not gonna go very far, and then bring back in. Basically, we're rotating that hip out to the side and bring it back in. Inhale, open, exhale in. My toes are down on the floor, so I do have that contact, and back in. And you wanna feel a little bit of a glute work in the hip that's moving. 2 more. Last one here. And bring it in. Now, second set, we're gonna lower that knee down to the floor, so allow your pelvis to twist, and then pull it back up to the neutral. So knee drops down a little bit, and then exhale as you lift it back up. The work should be felt in the hip that's on the oof or the foam roll. So to bring your pelvis back up to that neutral position, you're gonna push down into the oof or the foam roll with that knee to bring the opposite side of the pelvis up. So it's glute work. It's our little rotators they get to engage here, kind of like deep into the glute. If you feel that, that's probably, then you're doing it right. 2 more. Let that knee drop and bring it back. Good. From here, we're gonna keep that knee off the floor. We're gonna take the opposite arm and reach it forward. Now the opposite arm is gonna go out to the side, circle through behind your low back. You're gonna reach up low back as much as you can. Then you're gonna start straightening back over, bringing it to the overhead position and lowering it back down. We're gonna do a total of 4 of those, left arm only. So inhale, lift. Exhale, circle to the side, reach behind your low back. Inhale, start straightening that arm, bringing it back to overhead. and lower back down. Last two. Inhale, reach the arm. Exhale, circle out to the side, reach behind your back. Inhale, lengthen it back out and tap the floor. Last one. Arm. Good. And straighten through that rotation and bring it back. Let's take that knee off the over the foam roll. Legs are together now. You're gonna sit back into the shell stretch and we're gonna switch sides. So over foam roll goes to the other side. The bigger part of the ooh is out to the side. The knee is gonna go into the saddle or kind of the edge part of the foam roll. The kneecap is off the hard surface. And we go back into that hand and knee position. Now let's take a second with our upper body placement. So press into all 5 fingers firmly down into the floor and allow your shoulder blades to slide apart. So you want to feel that protraction of the scapula. This is that serratus muscle working hard. We don't want to be kind of hanging into our shoulder blades where they're sliding together. Nod the chin and then push the back of your neck to the ceiling so that you feel work in that upper cervical region. Now with all those points of contact, the knee that's not on the foam roll of the oof is going to lift up and we're going to start clamshelling it. So moving it out to the side and bringing it back in. So just opening the hip, externally rotating and coming back in. Out and in. Exhale out. Inhale in. So in terms of the work, we are working glutes, but there's a lot of oblique works in the front and also back extensors in the back. So you don't want to lose your kind of that neck position and come back in. Excellent. Now we're going to do the knee dips. So you're going to let that knee dip down as the pelvis twists and then press into the knee that's on the over the foam roll to bring your pelvis back. So we lower, exhale, lift for 8. Down and exhale up. If you have a side joint issues, you might feel this uncomfortable. And if it feels uncomfortable, don't do it because if there is too much instability in this side joint, this might irritate that joint a little bit. But if it feels okay and doesn't create any unnecessary tension or nerve issues, this actually is a great way to strengthen lumbar sacral multifidi. And down, last one, and come back up. Our last exercise is arm circles. So we're holding both knees off the floor, breathe in, right arm reaches up, moves out to the side. We reach behind your low back. Inhale, let it open, and lower back down. 3 more. Inhale, arm reaches up. Exhale, moves out to the side and behind your lower back. Inhale, rotate through, and lower. 2 more. Keep breathing through it. And open, and bring it down. Last one. Definitely more harder for me on this side. And bring it back. Well done. Let's go into our final shell stretch here. Move your equipment out of the way. Sit back, take a breath in. Turn your head side to side. And slowly come back up. Now we're going to go into a little bit of a hip flexor, hip extension work. So take the oof or the foam roll. I'm going to put it underneath your left knee. So same exact position that we just did on hands and knees. The knee is going to go into the saddle. Now the opposite knee is going to step through here in the lunge. And it doesn't matter so much which side the oof is facing. But basically I just want that knee kind of supported. Now the opposite leg is forward. First part, let that side of the glute drop down. So if you feel like you kind of compress there, you want to let that hip, that femur drop down in the center. You're pressing into the heel in the front. Now, part 2, we're gonna tuck our tailbone under. So we're gonna use the glute, use obliques to posteriorly tilt our pelvis. So we're not neutral or extended, we're gonna tuck under. Right away, you should feel the knee that's on the oove of the femoral, the front of that hip, you start feeling the stretch there. Now, the first part of the stretch usually is our psoas. As we start hinging forward, we're gonna start feeling more of the quad stretching there. So arms are gonna reach forward and maybe they reach up. And then if this feels okay, lift your sternum up. And then exhale, return to that lunge position. So inhale, we'll lengthen forward, arms lift up, sternum slightly extension up, and exhale back to center. So while we're working on the stretch of the knee that's down on the floor, we're actually working on stability of the hip that's flexed in front of us. Can we move through that hip joint without losing our balance? Keeping that foot firmly planted on the floor, pressure on the big toe, little toe, and the heel. Feeling that glute working as we hinge forward through that hip. And come back in. Now we're gonna stay here, bring our hands in the genie arm in front. And we're gonna rotate our torso across the bent knee. Nothing else moves. Our pelvis is stable. Now, as you rotate towards that knee, you're gonna reach your arms forward and straighten. Bring your hands back to the genie arms and come back to center. 2 more. Inhale, we rotate. Straighten the arms. Exhale, bring them back and center. So think about your neck. You're rotating your neck. You're rotating everything. Arms open, close, and center. Last one. Rotate. Arms open, close, and come back to center. Let's hinge forward. Both arms go on the outside of that foot. And we're gonna switch sides. So if you're in the oop or the femoral, take it to the other side. You wanna just have the saddle, and that knee is gonna go into the saddle. Toes are down, opposite leg comes forward. Now notice the oop will make this harder than the femoral. It's more unstable. So you're definitely working harder on the oop. Our first part is dropping that hip down. So the leg that's bent forward, you want to allow the glute to drop down so there's no compression in the waistline. Then we're going to tuck our tailbone under. So if you're here, you want to use the glutes and the hamstrings to bring your pelvis here. Now I feel the front of this hip on tension. First part, you might not even be able to go any further, and that's totally fine. But if it feels okay, you're gonna hinge forward, lift the arms, and then just a slight lift of the sternum, breathe in. And then exhale as we return. We're gonna do 3 more. Lunging forward, inhale, exhale, coming back in. Hip extension, which is what is happening with the knee that's down on the oop or the femoral, is so vital in the health of low back and hip joint health, because that's kind of what we tend to lose over time if we don't move into that part of the capsule. And then we tend to compensate in our side joint, in our lower lumbar spine. Inhale forward, exhale back. Last one, and we'll lunge forward. Arms reach up, sternum up, and coming back. Good. Part 2, thoracic rotations. So genie arms. This is what I call genie arms. We're gonna take a breath in here. Keep your pelvis nice and stable. Exhale, we twist across that bent knee. First time, we're just gonna twist. No arms open. And then come back to the center. We're just checking our range of motion. Now we're gonna rotate and twist, open the arms, close the arms as we come back to the center. So this is where we're adding that tracking of the eyes, head, open the arms, and exhale center. You wanna keep those hips facing straight forward. There's no movement of the pelvis. And we're rotating through our thoracic spine, our cervical spine, open shoulders, and come back to center. Last one here. And back to center. Both arms go forward on the outside of that front foot. And we're just gonna bring it back. Let's go on to the side. So we're gonna go on the left side with the oof. Your waistline will be in the saddle. The fat part of the oof will be back and the skinny part forward. If you don't have the oof, I actually wanted to show this with the ball. So smaller, bigger ball. It's gonna go not quite in the waistline, but right on the lower part of the rib cage. Knees are bent. And then I like knees at the 90-degree angle here. Sometimes it's also nice if you're on the oof and you go onto the side, maybe next time, if you have a ball, foam roll, or a yoga block, just putting it between the knees. And I'll tell you why this might feel good. So we're gonna start out, if it's okay, letting your head go down. So the oof is underneath the waistline or the ball is on the lower part of the ribs. You just wanna feel a side bend in the torso here. Exactly. And then if you have something to put between the knees so that you can squeeze it, it would help. Now we're gonna breathe in, lift the top arm up. Exhale, we're gonna let that arm come forward. Now keep your shoulder blade back. Inhale, lift the arm up, and then exhale, you're gonna start rotating everything back. The bottom hand can go behind your head into that extension and rotation. Inhale, we're gonna come forward. Let that arm come forward towards the floor. And exhale, arm lifts up. Let your head look towards the ceiling and rotate back. Now on the oof, because that big fat part of the oof is behind you, it's gonna block you and you can go as far as you can essentially. On the ball, you're having to limit that range of motion so you don't fall off of it. So you're still getting some work, just not as much, and probably working more on stabilization as opposed to range of motion. Now, if you have something between your knees and you're squeezing it, it kind of gives you a check as you rotate through your upper thoracic, your neck, you're squeezing whatever's between the knees so the hips don't follow along. And that's the goal, is to increase rotation in the mid-back and not through the pelvis or lumbar spine. Last one here. And coming back to center. We're gonna straighten the bottom arm, take that upper arm overhead for one more stretch through the side. And then inhale, lift the arm up, come up into the seated position. And we're just gonna go on the other side. So have the oof, your waistline is in the saddle, pointy part of the oof is coming forward, the big part coming back. Or if you have the ball, it's gonna go right on that lower part of the ribs. Yoga block, another ball, or the foam roll. It's gonna come in between the knees and the hips are at 90-degree angle. First part, we're going into the side bend. So what I love about this side bend, especially with something underneath the ribs, is that you want to just allow that hip to move away from the rib cage. And it creates that nice side bend in our lumbar spine and thoracic spine. That's hard to achieve if you're just flat on the floor. We're gonna take a breath here, lift the top arm up. Now we're gonna let it come forward. Breathe in. And exhale, arm lifts up, let your head, neck, and shoulders. I like to bend my bottom arm to support my head. And we're gonna rotate back. Inhale as we come and rotate forward. So if you have the ball, press into it and use it to help you with that rotation as far as you can without losing it. On the oof, you're gonna go as far as you can because it's gonna block your lumbar spine by design of it. That's what makes it so nice when you're doing these things. And exhale, rotate back. Inhale, come back forward. We'll do 2 more here. Squeezing whatever's between the knees, especially keeping that top knee in that same position, not letting it move back. And last one here. And exhale, rotate back. And inhale as you're coming back in. Excellent. Last stretch, straighten the bottom arm, let the top arm reach up. So increase that stretch here without anything. Think about reaching up through the fingertips and reaching down through the sit bones of that top hip. And then breathe into the ribs, into the thoracic spine there. Think about that expansion of the rib cage as the diaphragm descends down and pushes the ribs out of the way. And with an exhale, we're going to lift the arm and we're going to slowly come up. We're going to finish by sitting cross-legged if you can. Let's take a deep breath, arms lift up. Exhale, we're going to bring your hands, reach them back and lift your sternum up. Drop your head all the way back. Now start by nodding the chin first, lifting your head, coming back to the upright posture, arms lift up. And we're going to reach our hands forward and spine stretch forward. And let's come back into our starting position. And we are done. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you.
Apologies for me not having all my equipment this morning. Not good for instructor. But I still hope that you were able to get everything that you wanted out of it.